So now here for our second Camille team, which is still Menfield oriented, but unfortunately not 100% Menfield. It is really difficult to make a 100% Menfield team for Camille unless you use Alash, like I said, because we quite literally only have one other man who can inflict an arts infliction and is also only on ultimate. So the alternative I have is to use Perlica in this pretty much F2P free-to-play build, purely just to inflict electric infliction. If you're okay with that, you can consider trying out these builds. So Perlica can be replaced by any other character that can give an arts infliction, like Stella or anything like that, but I would recommend at least an electric infliction character because of Wulfgard in this team. So in this team, I actually use Wulfgard as the main DPS, and Camille can serve to like either buff Wulfgard further or do some DPS himself, and Antal is also used for further buffing. So Perlica can help to deal damage if you want her to, but generally I just use her to cast electric infliction. So I know that this misses out on the initial burst of damage after electrification, after she consumes heat by combustion. Basically that relies on her arts intensity, but because it's a Menfield team, I'm just mostly trying to make sure that the majority of the damage comes from the man. So my Antal build is the same for every team, and I've already described it in another video as well, so if you've already watched it, you can skip this part. My Antal is the same for every team for now, because he's pretty solid in his role as a supporter and basically a team buffer. So I gave him, like I mentioned, this Eternal Serenite set. Increases his max HP, but the more important part is that once he applies Amp, which he does on his ultimate, he will also like further buff the rest of the team, which yeah, he does on his ultimate, like I mentioned. So for example of weapons, I have this one, Stanza of Memories on him, because I just want to extra buff the other team members when he uses his ultimate here, 11.2%, well, a little bit of etching. But there's other alternatives for him as well if you don't have. For example, OBJ Arts Identifier also helps to buff the team, just that you have to cast Antal's like focus battle skill more often, which personally I found to really be more relevant for boss enemies, but it depends on you. And there's also One Night Her, which is not bad because it also gives him ultimate gain efficiency and lets him basically buff the team more often. So in summary, yeah, I just basically have Antal to buff the team on ulti, and then his set also to help him charge it faster. This last set that I picked for him is same thing that buffs his primary and secondary, basically the same build as Alash because they happen to have the same stats, and also with ultimate gain efficiency on him. So for this Camille team comp, the most important part is Wulfgard's build, because Wulfgard is seriously a very crazy damage dealer. So you can look at his battle skill here. It has on Mastery 3, it has 850 multiplier, sorry. So we really want to build more on that if possible. This skill is also the reason why I suggested to bring an electric infliction character, because he can also consume electrification. So for Wulfgard, you basically want a gear set that builds on his battle skill damage, and as of this Lost Heirloom patch, there's only 2 gold gear sets that buff his battle skill damage, which is Tingpo, which I actually use for Camille, and Bone Crusher. So both of those can work pretty well. They both have his primary and secondary stats, but personally I decided to go with Bone Crusher because Tingpo also pretty much has the effect of reducing combo skill cooldown, and we don't really need that with Wulfgard. Like, it's really, the multiplier is only 135%, and we have Camille to apply heat infliction anyways. So I prefer Bone Crusher that also gives him attack plus 15% just to further improve his DPS. So these are the 3 that I have on him. And for the final one, I decided to pick something else that also has buffs his primary and secondary stats and the battle skill damage bonus. So you can see, you can see that with 0 artificing, this increases his battle skill damage bonus by a whole 103.5%. Maybe it's also worth mentioning that I've considered Tide Surge, but unfortunately that seems to buff more Electric and Cryo at the moment. Where is it? This one. And also the subsets don't really match Wulfgard anyway, so I think Bone Crusher is pretty much fine. Now we're gonna move on to Camille, who has quite a lot of options, honestly depending on how you want to build him. So Camille can help to buff the rest of the team by using, for example, Frontiers, this one, which is the general one for him I suppose, giving the rest of the team 16% increased attack whenever he regenerates SP. But personally, because I prefer to build Camille with a little bit more DPS, and the skill for Camille that has the highest multiplier other than his ultimate is his combo skill. 300%, 500% compared to the normal 200%. So there are two main sets that I recommend for Camille if you're going for DPS, which this Type 50 Yinglang, which you see I have on him for my other team actually, are this Qingbo set. Yep, this is my Qingbo set for him. So the Qingbo will basically reduce his combo skill cooldown and increases his skill damage for every combo skill cast, whereas Yinglang heavily buffs him by giving him a higher attack and also like added damage to his combo skill. So which set should you use? If you're a Wulfgard fan, you want to focus like on Wulfgard's DPS purely, you can always go with Frontiers to buff the rest of the team's damage instead of just Camille's own damage. But personally, Qingbo is my personal recommendation for this arts team because you will be able to activate Camille's combo skill a bit more frequently with Perlica in the team, and then you want to like reduce the cycle of it so you can cast it more often. So in this team comp, he also builds up his attack quite quickly even with this Qingbo set because he can cast the combo skill more frequently. And so I think the gear set matches him pretty well for both DPS and SP regen, like balancing out. Then for the remaining one on him, you can, this final piece, you can either choose to like put, for example, more combo skill damage bonus like I have, or you can have like improve ultimate charge. It really depends on you. Honestly, for this team, I think that personally Wulfgard is more of my DPS, so I might go for like more ultimate charge on him. Depends on what you would prefer to use. So for this arts team, here is an example of the sequence of skills that you would cast when playing it. So you start off with the Antal focus on the enemies, so Camille, and then after that you would cast Camille to let the enemies get hit susceptibility as well as take arts infliction damage. Wulfgard then triggers his combo skill, and then Antal we have focus, which will buff Wulfgard, triggering his combo skill buffs his battle skill damage. And basically after that, it's more of a matter of cycling your focus on seeing what your team needs at the moment. So like say if you need like SP and then Camille, and you check that Camille's combo skill is ready to be cast, you can use Perlica's skill on an enemy that has hit infliction. And if not, if you're good on SP for the moment, you can just do a final strike on any enemy, and then Perlica will cast her combo skill to inflict electrification, and then Wulfgard use Wulfgard's skill, battle skill, to consume this electrification and then deal massive damage. I find that this team is pretty good for really like bursting out, for example, boss enemies too, because of, okay, this is another thing that I wanted to bring up, was the Antal focus. If I'm not wrong, I don't think it jumps to other enemies once the focused enemy dies. I feel like it's more relevant mostly for bosses or like tankier mini-boss enemies, so that you can keep on casting the hit infliction on them with focus. Otherwise, I feel like it's not super worth it and you can just save SP for Wulfgard's skill instead, because Antal focus doesn't seem to jump around. I hope this gear set building helps you, and let me know what you guys think in the comments, or you have a better idea of a build. For my other fully MENFIELD team video, you can check out my other video on how where I use Alash instead of Perlica and kind of combine it with a half physical team. Depends on which one you want to play. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.